Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I'm playing the Tier 10 US Destroyer Gearing. There are CVs in the game. Always a little bit of stress playing any destroyer really when there's a CV in the game. In this case, I've spawned, well, not exactly center, but given my position and knowing that the Shima's probably going to head the other way, I feel somewhat obligated to cover the center, which means probably I'm going to encounter the CV right away. Now, a bit of context. I played on and off from the very early part of yesterday till almost midnight between work-related things. I played a total of, well, let's say around 10 games throughout the day. And overall, I think I played some pretty good games, and this one of them. But I could not buy a win. It was a very frustrating experience, and in multiple games, I was targeted by the CV early, and in some games, pretty much the entire game. Now you can see the CV's got me targeted here, and I could tell he was turning the planes, trying to get the aircraft back around to chunk me for as much as possible. Now I just keep inching forward here because I know he's probably going to target the last place he saw my ship. And he did. I just have to hope that he won't keep his aircraft here. But he did stop me. He kept me from moving forward, and that was really my goal, was to keep moving forward.
Screen set.
You can see my comment there. So anyway, I had some what I consider very good games yesterday, but wins were really hard to come by. It ended up being like 8 losses and 2 wins or something by the end of the day, or 8 and 3 or whatever it was. Very rough day in terms of wins and losses. And this was probably the best example of that. So I thought, okay, I got to share this. And then literally at the very end of the day, I mean, probably just a little before midnight, played one more, and I'll try and get that recorded today. There's an update early morning tomorrow, so if I don't get it done today, it's just probably not going to happen because I don't think the replay will work after the update. So in this game, you can see we've got arguably one of the best DVs in the game. The enemy Shima takes it out. So we lose our Summers, and we're 2.5 minutes into the game. That's a rough start. I don't know. I mean, looking at the minimap, you can see where the Summers was positioned. You know, Echo 9, somewhere in that ballpark. You can see where he got sunk. What he was thinking pushing in that far, who knows? You know, maybe he's a relatively new player. Maybe he's somebody's kid who was playing on Dad's account. You just never know. But we lost to Summers early, so you know, that put us a little behind the 8 ball right out of the gate. So what am I doing here? Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a chance, but I'm the only thing here, and I'm looking at the radio location indicator, which is, you know, about, well, depending upon the size of your screen, it's a little bit above the aiming reticule. You can see kind of a little semicircular thing that tells me where the nearest ship is, which seems to be pointing to the Montana. And that being the case, I feel pretty confident that I can move down here and get into the cap without something to the south of me spotting me. Now that's assuming the aircraft don't find me. Now I was a little worried here because if you look at the minimap, you can see that the indicator on A is starting to turn green, and I thought maybe the CV is going to come this way. But fortunately for me, he didn't. Montana is almost certainly worried about the gearing that he knows about on that side, the one you can see there. And I'm guessing he probably has really not been paying close attention to the fact that the cap here has started turning green and is just trying to get out of the way of torpedoes that might be coming from that other gearing. And that being the case, he's probably going to eat a face full of my torpedoes, and that's exactly what happens here. Now I know that the enemy gearing is pushing in right behind him, but I've got aircraft on the way that are going to keep him spotted for me, so you can see I'm exhorting all those guys that are just sitting north of this island chain here to push. All they've got down there is a Yoshino and Summers that's already lost a third of its hit points. I know there's an Austin out there somewhere, and he's probably down here he will be down here sooner or later. You can see on the last known position on the other side of the map. But instead, our Austin and our Yamato move center, where they, maybe they can get guns on the Kurfürst briefly between the islands, but they've kind of taken that, especially the Austin. Look where the Austin is going, our Austin. He's taking himself entirely out of the game, at least for the next minute or two. So I'm playing a little bit of Ring Around Rosie with the enemy gearing here, waiting for my torps to come back up. I'm hoping that he's just going to charge in this way, and if he does, I might be able to get him. But, we don't always get what we want. But if nothing else, I can keep him from getting out of the cap circles. Switch back to HE. I've got a Nevsky that's pushing in here that I'm hoping is going to be able to help me. And he does light up the enemy gearing. Now, I don't want to eat torpedoes. I'm guessing the gearing's going to probably try and torp the Nevsky, since he's not exactly sure where I'm at. I'm just going to wait for his nose to poke around the island, and I'll open him. Here comes some torps. They're definitely going for the Nevsky. I would think the Nevsky would be able to maneuver, but that Austin that I was talking about fires right over the islands at his flat broadside and takes him out of the game. You can see that big gap there in the islands. That's where the Austin fired through, I think. So we're down a little over 150 points. I've got a couple of kills. Our gearing takes out the enemy Summers, yay. Each team's lost 3 ships, but now we're 80 or so points behind. And I'm just putting out some kind of all-purpose torps here in case the GK pushes this way. Now I don't have any way to know what he's going to do, but I can only go so far north before my torps start running into that island. So I'm just going to try and cover that gap. Now, he can easily avoid him if he's got his hydro active, but just in case. So notice the position of our Slava, and look at where the Austin is going. Now I have to admit, I thought at this point Slava's going to sit and make sure the Austin can't come around that corner. But boy, was I wrong. Enemy Thunderer takes out the friendly Zhao. We're now down 4 ships. Bad guys are down 3. I don't want to push directly into Kurfürst, because if he does have his hydro up and running, he will detect me, get his secondaries going, and I'll begin taking a lot of damage. You can see the Slava has not only moved farther into the cap, but is now showing broadside to the Kurfürst. Now just look at the mini-map and you can get some idea. So I'm looking at that while I'm playing this game, and I'm thinking, oh man. Now meanwhile, the other gearing that's in this cap with me, who pushed in afterward, our Yamato does get a good shot on the GK, which will allow me to move. But you can see the Slava, he was just kind of running away from the Austin. Now watch this exchange in the chat box.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
I was really hoping that he would do something, anything. If he had been watching the minimap at all, he had to have seen the Austin coming. And instead he kept pushing farther into this cap, leaving that flank completely open. Now maybe he was counting on our gearing to stop an... I don't know why he would think a gearing was going to stop an Austin at point blank range, but apparently he did. So his contention is there were islands there, so he didn't know that the Austin was there. Well, as you can see, I typed in, if I could see it, you could see it. I could see it on the mini-map. I knew it was coming. So that's his response, and at that point I realized there's no point in having any more conversation with this guy, because the idea that he could use the mini-map to position himself to be a little bit more effective is either something he hadn't considered or not something he's willing to consider after the fact. So I just move on. I put out some torps, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, we're down to 5 ships. The enemy team's still got 8. This thing's all over with shouting. What can I do to help at least? Well, I was forced to smoke up because you got the enemy CV right here. Switch back to AG. Shima's got torps out on the Thunderer. Can the Thunderer avoid any torps? I do manage to land a couple torps, take out the Zhao, and Shima looks like he's going to be trying to torp. And that's the only reason I can think he would show that much side to me. Our Thunderer, I'm sure, is trying to avoid the torpedoes and maneuvering like mad. Okay, so here I am. I'm in the center of the map, more or less. And I can see a Thunderer, a Yoshino, another Thunderer, and I'm sure somewhere out there, Harugumo. I mean, they've had the Delta side of the map for a little while. I'm sure that DD is heading this way. Here come the Yoshino torps, so I've got to try and avoid those. Got a couple seconds till my torps are back up. And I'm starting to think at this point, they're going to be kind of pushing center. You can see the Harugumo on the minimap now. And I know that there might be torps on the way, but I really want to get these torps off in a way that I'm hoping will catch more than one of them. Okay, so I know I'm not going to catch Yoshino, or that I probably won't catch Yoshino unless he moves center again, and then I see the indicators starting to swing the other way. Now, I'm trying to avoid getting spotted by aircraft. I got plenty of time on my smoke. I see Harugumo pushing straight at me. I got the one set of torps out already. So I land one, and now I'm detected. Pushed a little too far. I'm out of the smoke. I'm going to start taking some damage here. It's alright. I've got plenty to trade.
The ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir.
Just have to stay in my smoke. And I'm going to try and make these dual-purpose torps. I'm looking at where both of them are. They're both going to cross that spot. Now I got to swing some guns around and try and finish off this Harugumo. Now this is going to end for me in pretty ugly fashion. But what am I doing? I'm just trying to show you, you know, you can think about this game if you don't panic. You can think about what you're doing, the effect that you're going to be able to have in the game. Now, granted, there's no way I was going to survive with that Yoshino pushing straight at me. But I did manage, before it was all over, to pick up 6 kills, land 12 torpedoes, get a cap, land 44 shells, shoot down 10 planes. And as you see, I did all I could. There was just a lot of potato on the team. We had a lot of guys that kind of threw their ships away. I was really hoping that the Slava Austin division on our team might be a little bit more effective, but they just weren't. And that's how it goes sometimes. So this one is, well, this one's over. It's just going to be a minute or two here till the Roosevelt's gone. So I will say, as frustrating as it was, I think I played a pretty good game and it was very fun. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.